Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video in the How to Fly tutorial series. As you saw in the first one, I kind of outlined what this course is going to be about, and now we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I got some positive feedback on the last video, so I'm super excited to start off this series and help you guys learn how to fly. Now, just for starters, I am not a certified flight instructor. I only have my private pilot's license, so if there's anything I got wrong, do let me know down in the comments. If you have any more information, go ahead and let me know in the comments, because if I were to try to go over every minute detail of everything about flying, this would be a very, very long video, and I'm trying to make it more condensed, keeping it simple for you guys. So if there's any other information that you guys want to add, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what things I may have gotten wrong, or maybe you have another point of view on it. Go ahead, let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button and join us on this adventure as we are growing to 1.5k subscribers. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So for this first video, it's going to be a half talking, half flight sim demonstration video. So we're going to be going over the fundamentals, right? So we have to build a basis of what we're going to build everything else off of. And that's going to be the fundamentals of flight. So let's go ahead and go over what we're going to be going over today, which is the Bernoulli's principle. We're going to be talking about flight controls, climbs, descents, and also turns. Like I said, I'm keeping it all very, very simple. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the number one question that everyone probably asks, and maybe you guys know the answer, maybe you guys don't know the answer, but how does a plane fly? Even a Cessna, even I know my camera's blocking it, but a 737, what can they do to fly? And the thing that happens is the Bernoulli's principle. So let's go over Bernoulli's principle. I'll try to move my camera up here or something like that. There we go. So Bernoulli's principle, as it states here in fluid dynamics, Bernoulli's principle states that an increase in speed of a fluid occurs simultaneously with a decrease in pressure or a decrease in the fluid's potential energy. All that to say, the faster a fluid moves, the lower the relative pressure gets. Now, let's take a look at this diagram here on the left. We can go ahead and see what's known as a wing's camber, which is basically the shape of the wing on the outside here. And what happens is, I don't want you to think of a fluid just as a liquid such as water or anything like that. Instead, especially for this example, fluid could be a gas like oxygen or the air going around the wing. So this fluid goes over the wing and below the wing. But the difference is, if you look at the top of the wing here, the top of the wing goes up, out, and then down, whereas the bottom of the wing just kind of goes straight. Now, why is that? Obviously, if you were to race the top part of the wing and the bottom part of the wing, the top part is a greater distance, right? So if you were to race two people, it would probably take someone a lot longer to go up and around. So with that being said, the air has to travel farther on top of the wing to meet the air at the trailing edge or the back edge of the wing. In order to do that, it has to be at a higher velocity or a higher speed above the wing, rather relative to the below the wing. And so what that causes, as we saw in Bernoulli's principle, is that since the air is moving faster above the camber of the wing, the relative pressure above the wing is lower, and the relative pressure below the wing is higher. And high pressure always wants to go to low pressure, and as you can see on the diagram, lift due to pressure difference. So high pressure wants to go to the low pressure above the wing. So what does it do? It pushes up, and it goes and pushes the wing up and causes the wing to generate lift. Now, I could go ahead and show you that on a Cessna. Every airplane from a Cessna to airliners all have a cambered wing. They just might not look as pronounced as this diagram here. As you can see, this is a Cessna wing. Kind of shows you the trailing edge, the leading edge, the core line, everything like that. But I just wanted to pull up this picture just to kind of show you what it would look like in a real life airplane. As you can see, that's the top camber right here and the bottom camber right here. And that's what basically causes lift. Now, there's three other components to flying. So when we say straight in level flight, that means that these four things are equal. So we just talked about lift, how a plane generates lift. There's also such thing as, we'll use this airplane as an example. There's such thing, obviously, as we talk about, as lift, basically climbing. There's such thing as weight, which basically drags gravity, basically drags the plane down. There's drag, so it slows the plane down. And there's thrust, which pushes the plane forward with the engine, right? So if all three are equal, you have straight and level flight. You are going at a constant speed. You're not slowing down or speeding up. You're not climbing. You're not descending. You're just cruising straight and level. Okay, so that's what is known as straight and level flight, and those are the four things that we need to look into on basically how a plane is able to fly. Now that we figured out how a plane flies, let's talk about what manipulates the plane to do what we want it to do, and that's going to be the flight controls, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So for the flight controls here, this is kind of based on an airliner, but it's the same purpose. Obviously, with the Cessna and general aviation aircraft, you won't really have any spoilers or slats too much. But here we got flaps, ailerons, rudder, and elevators. Just think about that for general aviation. Obviously, we can fly airliners too, and we have slats and ailerons flaps and spoilers and stuff. But let's talk about turning first. So with turns, I want you to think, as you can see here, this is in a left-hand turn, okay? And the reason I could tell that is if you put two thumbs up, this is an old trick. If you put two thumbs up here, right, and you move them to the left, your should be to the left, right? I don't know. The camera's kind of opposite, but just do it yourself. If you do it to the left, whatever side the thumb is up on, which is the left, going to the left aileron is going to be up. If you do it opposite, you go two thumbs up, go to the right. Okay, right aileron is going to be up. Now, what does that do? So if you can see on this example, it's hard to notice, but this aileron is down right here. This aileron is up. Now, I'd stay with me. This might get a little bit confusing, but I want you to think about the aileron as an extension of the wing almost. I mean, not as much as flaps, but basically what I mean is it increases that top edge. You know how we said that the top edge it takes a long time for the top air to reach the back, so that's why it has more lift because of the pressure difference. Now imagine if you added more to that, and it creates a longer travel for the air to get through, and that's what happens when you lower the aileron. When you lower the aileron, it causes a pressure difference even more, because it has to travel a greater distance above the wing when the aileron is down, and that causes a lifting motion here. So if this was the aircraft, this aileron is going down, the lift would happen here, and that would cause the right wing to go up. Okay, now the opposite is true here. Now think about this left wing. This is going to throw some people off, but imagine it now as an upside down wing. Okay, now this does the same thing, except the opposite is true. So right now it's disrupting the airflow above the wing, causing a decrease in lift in the left wing, which causes the wing to go down, right? So now with the thumb up trick and you go to left, now the left aileron is up. That means you're in a left turn. So since that is happening, if you think about it, on the left aileron, if this is up, that means this wing is getting pushed down. On this aileron, it's down, which means this wing is getting pushed up. Therefore, this plane is in a left turn. Opposite's true on the other side. If this one was down, this wing would be pushed up by lift. If this aileron was up, this wing would get pushed down, and now you're in a right turn. So that's kind of how the ailerons work. Same thing with the flaps. They increase your lift. So you could imagine that the flaps are just an extension of the wing. That causes more of a camber. Therefore, it causes more of a lift, as well as in descent, it slows you down, adds more drag, and you're able to descend at a higher rate, if you will. And if we look at the rudder, same thing. I want you to think of all these flight controls as an extension of a wing. Okay, so for the rudder, let's not imagine that the rudder is up and down. Let's just turn the aircraft like this. Now the rudder is an elevator. So if you go down, so this elevator goes right, aka right now, if it goes down, that means that the lifting motion will be on this side of the rudder, which means if we flip it back over, it'll be yawing to the right. Okay, opposite's true. If you go ahead and push up on the elevator, this is it right here, it would mean that the lift would be happening on the left side of the vertical stabilizer. So you would go ahead and make a left yawing motion. Okay, so if it's confusing at all, I know it gets pretty confusing. Just imagine these flight controls on the wing. Okay, so if the rudder was turned sideways and it was the right wing, if it was to go down or to the right, that would mean that the lifting motion is here and it yaws, right? I want you to kind of think about that. It yaws. The elevators, same thing. If you push down on the yoke, it pushes the elevators down, which then causes the tail to pitch down. Okay, because now the lifting motion is coming from up here. Now, if we go ahead and pull up, now the elevators go up, and now the axis gets pushed up. Okay, so that's kind of, I know it's really confusing. I know it's kind of hard to figure all that out, but hopefully it makes somewhat sense. If you have any questions, do let me know down in the comments below. And then for spoilers, right? So spoilers, they spoil the airflow above the wing. So on airliners, for example, if you're a little high and you need to descend fast, you usually pull out the spoilers. And what happens is that spoils the airflow on the wing and it decreases the lift, so you're able to descend faster. So there we go. That's basically the fundamentals of flight. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the simulator, and we're going to go ahead and demonstrate the turns as well as the ascents and descents in a Piper aircraft. So see you guys in the sim. All right, guys, here we are in the sim. We are in the Just Flight Piper Warrior, and I want to go ahead and show you real quick. Let's go ahead and turn over to the wing. So now if I want to make a left turn, remember, if I put my 2 thumbs up and turn left, that means the left aileron is going to be up. So if I go ahead and start this left turn, you'll see the aileron, although it's not exaggerated, you see the aileron go up. And that's going to cause me to get into this left turn here. Now, opposite's true. So if I go ahead and start to turn right, you'll see that the elevator is going down, and then this one is going to go up. Now, it's not really that noticeable in the sim unless I fully deflect the aileron, right? If I fully deflect the aileron, then you kind of see that that's causing the turns, right? Now, let's go ahead and get trimmed up here. The same is true, right, for the rudder and everything. That's going to be kind of hard to demonstrate unless I go outside, but that's just going to go ahead and tell you how we do turns. So let's go ahead and do a slight turn. Another thing is, with turning, you don't have to keep the turn in, right? So since I have the yoke out here, I want you to notice the yoke, okay? Notice the yoke movements. So I want to go ahead and make a left turn. Let's go ahead and make a left turn. I think that's a good bank right there. And look, my yoke is perfectly neutral. Now I'm just controlling the pitch, right? I don't want to go nose down, so I just want to keep the pitch where I want it. Nice easy turn. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and go even out. So we'll go ahead and turn the yoke to the right and then back to neutral. All right, perfect. Now let's go ahead and make a right turn. So watch, I'll do a right turn here. Keep the yoke neutral, and now I'm just working on the pitch. If I want an increase in bank, I'll just add the increase in bank and then go right back to neutral. Do a nice easy turn. There we go. So the reason why, if you notice, some people, they get the need to keep the bank in. So what I mean by that is they'll turn left. Okay, let's turn left. All right, there we go. Turning left. Turning left. All right, what's happening? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now we're all the way to the left, and now we're going to nosedive. And oh my gosh, now we're going to a little spin here. Okay, that's why you don't need to keep that aileron movement in. Let's get away from the sun, actually. Let's go over here. you don't want to keep the aileron movement in, because then you're just going to keep increasing the bank, right? It's not necessarily like adding the bank is not what makes you turn left. That just makes your aircraft pitch its wings to the right, and it'll automatically on its own start turning, right? So if you want to start the turn, get the bank that you want, and then even out the controls. There we go. See, nice easy bank, nice right turn. We could do this all day. We just go in 360s until we get dizzy, right? Nice and easy. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and even out here. I want you to also notice, they turned out a little bit better here. I wish trim was a little bit better than the Sim. It's definitely not as good as if we were to go to the real life plane. But we're gonna climb up to 2,500 here, and I'm gonna show you ascents and descents, or climbs and descents, I should say. Okay, let's go ahead and get climbing here. Okay, so here we are at 2,500. Still feel pretty some pressure, I believe, with some trim. All right, now I want you to think about this. So if I told you, hey, climb up to 3,000 feet right now, what would you do? You would be like, all right, let's climb up to 3,000 feet. Let's go. Hey, you climbed me to 2,700 feet. What's going on? Okay, well, now we're descending. I thought you were pulled back on the yoke. Yeah, we are. Okay. Why are we descending then? Basically, you would stall, right? The aircraft doesn't really do good in stalls in the sim. But that's not actually how we get a climb going. Now watch, I'm going to keep, if I could get it to work, if I could get the trim to cooperate with me, and I'm able to just let go of the yoke without it being weird. Okay, right here, 2,500. I'm going to go ahead and let go of the yoke, and all I'm going to do is add power. Watch this. I'm just going to keep it straight. Look at that. Are we stalling? I mean, yeah, it pitches up pretty high. But look at it. I'm just trying to keep it straight. That's all I'm trying to do here, is just kind of keep it straight so we're just going to spin. But look, we can keep full power in, not pull up on the yoke. We're not pulling up on the yoke. We're just keeping it straight. And look, we just got to 3,000 feet with just the power being at full. Okay? And the same is true. You don't want to just nosedive the aircraft. If we wanted to send back down to 2,500, guess what we'll do? We'll just decrease the throttle. Watch this. We'll decrease the throttle. Just kind of trying to keep it straight here. Look, now we're at an easy descent. Nice, easy descent. If we want to increase the descent, let's go ahead and pull out the power more. There we go. Now we're getting a little bit faster descent. So I don't want you to think of just pitching up means we're climbing, pitching down means that we're descending, right? Especially in GA aircraft, you can manipulate the engines to do that for you, okay? So this is completely for beginners. I know that this is probably easy knowledge that a lot of people have already understood, but this is for the absolute beginners who just want to start flying. This is going to be super necessary, not only in the sim, but also in real life flying. So there we go, we catch ourselves by adding power, and now we catch ourselves at 2,500. Add some trim to help us out here. And look, now we're doing good. Okay, same thing, we're going to do some turns. Like I said, just add the bank in. There we go. Get blinded by the sun. Just add the bank in. And then now with the ailerons, we just control the bank. If we feel like we're getting too steep of a bank, we're like, oh, I don't like that bank. Let's go ahead and reduce the bank then. Let's reduce the bank. We're getting low. Let's go ahead and add some power. Bring back the bank here. That's another thing, right? If we increase our bank like this, guess how much lift our wings have when we're like this? We're not going to have that much lift. So that's why we see that we're descending now. Now watch, if I just decrease the bank, Watch what happens to that descent rate. If I just decrease it, look. Now we're not descending, and now we're climbing. Okay, look, now we're climbing at a good rate. Increase the bank, our wings lose lift. Look what happens. When our wings are to the side, we don't create that much lift right now. And now we're just descending fast, decrease the bank, we catch the descent, and now we're even in a climb. So that's just kind of like the very, very fundamental basics of the little stall here. That's the fundamental basics as far as turns, climbing, and climbs and descents go. So that's basically it for this video. This is just the fundamentals. Let me know what other things you want to learn down in the comments down below. Let me know if there's any information that I missed out on. Let me know if there's anything I got wrong and you want to go ahead and correct me. I'm more than happy to get corrected in the comments down below. I think every good pilot is always learning, no matter how experienced they are. So I'm always looking to get new information on things. So if you guys like this tutorial series, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. We'll go ahead and keep pushing out videos for it. And hope to see you guys in the next one very, very soon. Have a good one, guys. Peace.